All right. All right, call meeting to order. Roll call.
Lisa Ward.
Here.
Anthony Yance. Here. Tony Bevel.
Here.
Doreen Bible.
Here.
Lisa Patterson. Here. Richard Amici. Thank you.
Okay, first thing is approval of minutes. Anybody have any comments, corrections? If not, make a motion to approve.
I move we approve the minutes as is. Again.
Okay, any discussion? All right, take a vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Citizen comment.
We do have a citizen comment tonight.
Hi, I'm Carrie Borday, and I, and as well as my neighbor, live on Willamette Street here in Sherwood. And we just wanted to voice our concern about an ongoing speeding issue on Willamette. We've also noticed there's no speed signs along our strip of the road. And I have small kids. I have a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I don't let them play outside in the front yard because not only are there speeders, but there's also, we have one of those safety guys that you set out on the road. We call him Safety Dan. But he has been run over multiple times. And so I feel like if they're not seeing that, they may not see my children. So I would love for there to be something done, whether it's speed signs or a speed trap or a speed bump or something for that. And then I'm going to read my neighbor's comment as well. My name is Jerry. I live at 15197 Southwest Willamette. Cross Street is Norton. I've lived here for the past 19 years and have seen people driving way too fast from Lincoln to Hall Street and up Norton Street. I am worried for the small children in the neighborhood, and I'm asking for a 20-mile-an-hour sign or signs to be installed. Please, this is a residential neighborhood. Please and thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
See something, let me see. I witness daily this speed. It's gotta stop, something's gotta be done with it. Every day it happens, it's not just the kids, I've talked to the kids, it's the parents. Like she says, there's, I don't know, there's probably what, 10 kids on that road. From Lincoln to Hall. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Let's just go through the agenda, right? We don't talk about this. We'll put on the agenda for next time.
Sure, yeah, so just to address that, because obviously we don't ask them questions and stuff, but we've got their information, we'll reach out to them, get them to fill out a complaint form for it, we'll address it. It's a speed related issue. It would be something that we wouldn't necessarily be putting to the committee for something to need to put a motion to or vote on. We'll obviously just put resources to going out there and assessing it and running some speed prevention up there, so.
I ask real quick, is there, what's the law about having posted speed signs? Isn't it just assumed a neighborhood is 25 miles an hour? So it doesn't need a sign?
That's correct, right, Chris, right? 25, I think she indicated she wanted 20. So that's why we'll have her fill out a form in that regard, just to address that specific needs of it. But running the traffic enforcement for it in regards to the speed, we'll take care of that.
Part of Lincoln is really steep, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the backside.
Yeah, they're talking about Willamette though, that runs from Lincoln all the way up to Hall, so. The area they're talking about, I mean, it's a pretty decent stretch of road where I mean, presumably somebody could get up to a decent speed, so we can put our speed trailer out there and monitor it and actually get a good reading on how fast people are actually driving. Give us a better understanding of what's going on up there.
Is that what the speed trailer does? It gives you data analytics,
You can download it and see the average speed, the highs, the lows.
but it doesn't do photo.
It's not a enforcement,
Mhm.
it's just strictly data collection.
Analytics.
Do we have any data collection, or is that something that you'll look at too, to see if we have historical counts and speeds there?
Sorry, I didn't hear the first part of that.
Looking at historical, do we have any counts or speeds there along that
Not that I'm
stretch?
aware of. I don't know that we've ever put the trailer on the Willamette there, so this will be the first time.
But on top of that, the person who puts it out, they do keep a registry of where they have put it out, so we'll be able to check and see if we have any.
Okay, we'll move on to business. The first one there is a July meeting cancellation. Is that a holiday? I don't know that I can.
Yeah, I don't think there is. What's the reason?
Robin Festival?
Just
Oh, this was, yeah, oh, right, yeah, sorry, I'm gone.
Okay.
I have Sabrina remind me, she's like, you're.
I'll forget about that.
You have to move to accept that or anything? I'm good with it.
Okay. Chair, vice chair nominations. This is where someone else gets to volunteer to be the chair.
Okay, you're it.
I don't mind. I feel like I'm more than willing to step down. I've been doing it since this committee started, but nobody else wants to.
The next item is, it's showing that your term expires,
Oh, yeah.
so would that be?
Well, I'm okay with continuing unless I gotta get kicked out, then I will see you all later. I don't think so.
Well, it's just an official
Yeah.
record saying that you and Tony wanted to renew your terms.
Unless you got people just knocking on the door ready to come in. How can you let others have a turn?
So I heard a rumor that this is going to, the TSC is gonna break out of being a subcommittee under the police board and be a committee direct to council, and therefore would end up having more members. So I've heard some discussion.
For myself, unless I'm voted off the island, I'd like to stay.
Should we be doing item C before item B? Doesn't matter. Okay, well, we both want to stay, so unless you guys want to kick us off, we'll plan to stay, but okay, so for the chair and vice chair. Take it, nobody else wants to raise their hand for chair. Yeah, I'm happy to. How about vice chair?
I mean, feel free.
I don't think I can. I'm just a liaison. So this might get out of character.
I don't mind staying
Okay,
unless somebody else wants to do it.
I forget how we do this. We need like someone make a motion that
Probably so.
make one motion. Let's be efficient with this.
I would make a motion to nominate Jason Wertz as the chair and Tiffany Ann as the vice chair.
Second.
Okay. Anybody want to discuss?
Thank you.
I think you really deserve, a big thank you. You're doing a terrific job, and that's not just ego building, but yeah.
Thanks. Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then you don't need anything on the expiration of terms, right? Yeah. All right, new traffic safety requests. We just need to wait a few months and then we get Get stuff on the list.
There you go.
All right, request 24-001. No parking signs on one side of the street. Woodhaven between Hosler and YMCA. And this is related to another one in the past, right?
The next one right after it, Chair, their point one is basically the same thing, but we need that one too.
Yeah. Isn't this related to, when we had this before?
No, it came in back when we had our last meeting, but we've missed several meetings, right? Because of we've had several meetings that we haven't had, so it came in a number of months ago. It just hasn't yet been before you with our recommendations, so.
And the second bullet point is a new request.
Right.
That's basically addressing the exact same issue.
Got
Same intersection.
So, for the committee, you know, we've looked at this, both these complaints, so 001 and 001.1. If you look at the map on the screen, you'll see, Woodhaven there, and you'll see Hostler intersection right there. Where it's hard to see with all the trees on this, but what it is that right where he's circling the cursor right now, there's a crosswalk right there. And that crosswalk provides access for people crossing across Woodhaven and taking that pathway on the north side of the road up to the apartments, townhouse condominiums, up to the north there. When people are traveling on Woodhaven, you'll see just down at the bottom of your screen, that's the parking lot for the YMCA. But when you're traveling on Woodhaven, just as you have the cursor going from north to south, as if you're heading towards YMCA, heading towards Sunset, there's a bend in the road there, as you can see. And right there at Hostler. And as cars are coming towards the YMCA direction, or heading towards YMCA, it narrows there with the parking on both sides of the road. And with that bend causes it to be very difficult to see anyone that would be at that crosswalk right there. Not only do the complainants have a valid issue here that they're talking about, both complainants, but our office from the police department, we have our own identified this as a choke point, as a dangerous spot. Now, as you know, we don't like to, as a city in general, and if I miss anything, Jason can explain this also, but restricting parking in residential areas is something that we really look very, very carefully at because parking is a premium. In this case, there's no houses that actually dump out onto Woodhaven, right where the cursor is right now. There's no housing right there. The houses all have their driveways off Hostler or off of Frederick. So there are people that park on that, but it's not impacting what I'm saying is anyone's parking right in front of their house. We feel, Chris, Pierce has looked at this. I've looked at this. Engineering's looked at this. We all agree that restricting the parking along the north side of the road from Hostler to the first crosswalk would be a positive recommendation for you guys to consider. The other complaint, the 001, I think it is where it was saying one was saying, please eliminate the parking on one side of the road. The other complaint was saying, please eliminate the parking on both sides of the road. Our analysis of it is we believe that taking it off of just that one side of the road on the north side there will suffice to improve the visibility at that crosswalk.
The north and the west side of the road. That's what you're referring to?
The north and the west, yeah. Yeah, right where the cursor right now is. He's kind of right on that side there.
Yeah.
But only from the crosswalk
Up
north to Hostler, not all the way to the YMCA.
Yeah, you're talking maybe about
Like,
five or
cars.
so spaces.
Yeah, like 5-ish.
It'll also not only improve the visibility of the crosswalk, it'll also make things a little safer for the vehicle traffic there, just because it narrows. And this is a major road that goes through the Woodhaven area, so definitely is beneficial there as well. So from a city perspective, police department perspective, we're supportive of it being eliminated on the one side.
I'm assuming, like, just from anecdotally, like parking. Do people typically park there? Is there?
It's a great question, and they do. There's people that park there that often park along Woodhaven there and they use the pathway. This will highlight it here, just the pathway system to walk up those townhomes that are right there. So they'll park there just because obviously in the townhome complex there, parking is a little bit restricted. So we do get cars that are parked there. But they're able to, for the spots that we eliminate, I believe they'll be able to shift their vehicles farther down Woodhaven towards the YMCA if they really need to be there.
Or on the other side.
Or on the other side of the road. But we feel like, obviously, like I said, very important point is that impacting parking is not something we would traditionally do. In this case, we think there's more minimal impact in this specific case.
Would it just be a matter of painting the curb yellow or putting up a couple of no parking signposts?
No parking, right? We don't.
Yeah, and I was, with the motion, I was saying the treatment right now would be determined by our public works department, whether it's curb paint or signs with arrows or both. And this is a unique area because there's sight, the tree canopy makes it kind of like a dusk or a dusk effect all the time. So it's really hard to see stuff in there. So this kind of opens that side up and gets light in there, but doesn't, stir the pot or cause any controversy. So just, they've got some parking on that side and that's it. So I think it's a pretty cost-effective solution.
Another thing I'd mention too is just that for traffic that's coming from Sunset down at the bottom of the screen and going up Woodhaven, going northbound or northeast, heading up that way, the way the cruise is going, we found in our analysis of it that the visibility is very good. There's not an issue in that direction. It's more of a straight shot. You can see the crosswalks, even when there's vehicles parked. It's not an impact that direction. It's really just going the other way. Good to you guys for questions or motion.
So is there any, projections of when the pedestrian bridge gets built? Are people going to use that as kind of like a park and ride type area? Like, will people drive there to park and then walk across, or it's purely walkers who are going to use that? I'm just wondering if we close this off and people start parking farther down the hill towards the YMCA, is that an area that's going to get busier over time when that bridge is operational? Who knows?
Sounds plausible. I mean, that sounds like what's gonna happen during events is. I think, are you asking if there's capacity for this offset those spots or those?
What I'm wondering is if people are planning to use that area, like a park and ride, so to speak, leave their car there, walk across to the high school. And if so, is the YMCA parking lot going to be what they do? Or is that private property and people are now parking on the street and?
Let's speak to that.
Is that a premium?
I'd say obviously it's impossible for us to know at this point. We have no data that would know one way or the other on that. With that said, I can also say that parking at the high school at this point is substantial. They have way more parking stalls than they have students filling those stalls. So at this point, I wouldn't see that would be something that they would do. I don't think that the impact where we're talking would be the byproduct of that being used. If anything, YMCA ends up having an issue of maybe some people trying to park in their lot to walk across, but time will tell.
All right, yeah, makes sense to me.
As long as we're doing the parking removal, is there any additional parking that we would want to also look at just for like daylighting the crosswalks on the side that we're not removing parking, or?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
So the current proposal is on the west side between Hostler and all the way to Woodhaven.
It would be on Woodhaven from Hostler.
Sunset.
No,
Just to the YMCA driveway.
From Hostler to about right here.
Oh, to the
The
trail.
First crosswalk.
So I guess on the other side, if you were saying if you're going north, the visibility is fine,
Yeah,
but
we're allowing parking to stay
Yeah.
parked on that side.
would we want to look at, or is it already currently no parking, like 20 feet?
Yeah, it's painted for 20 feet, but it still looks, we'll go measure it, but I think they did 20 feet. This, because of the curve, may kind of adjust the site distance where we may want to make it 25 when they go out, or 30 when they go do maintenance on it, but yeah, the crosswalk's already got the 20 feet buffer. And I was just thinking that now, I'd probably recommend 30 feet just because of the, you know, the other direction, it's kind of dark and the curve, so do the engineer's math and you get 30 feet.
when you look at the pictures in the packet, it's a really clear example of being able to see the full crosswalk. When you're heading south on your left side, but you can't on the right with those cars parked there. So that makes a lot of sense. That one side is definitely impacting the visibility versus the other is not. And I know driving the opposite way, when you're heading north, you do have a clear shot until you get to that bend. So if you were going to come up and turn left on Hostler, or if the car is coming from Hostler, that's the concern. That's a visibility issue. So I think I would agree that one side is really the crux of the issue.
We didn't have this issue. It was in 2021.
Yeah.
It's 2021-006. It's the exact same thing. They asked for no parking on one side from Hostler to the YMCA parking. And we made a decision. I'm just asking the question because I just want to know what we said last time. I know how to respond this time. If it changes anything.
Yeah, that was before I was ever here.
So it was the decision where the committee.
Well, on the form, we said, approved with modification. But it doesn't say, city engineer collect pedestrian crossing data when weather permits, public works will paint striping and curve. Once complete, SPD will assign extra patrol.
But they did that, yeah, that's how the crosswalk got the yellow. They
So
used
we
to not
must have
have no-
decided to do it only at the crosswalk.
Yeah, and it got some yellow paint, we kind of buffered it out, and then that was it for that.
And there's a petition form with like 12 of the neighbors all signed it. So
I'll probably do more
that
happen.
would make a lot of people happy.
And not make an issue out of it.
On the submitted complaint, the last picture of the packet, there's like a 2-foot, looks maybe like it's a homemade stripe. Does anyone know what that is?
That's the third bullet. Which,
No, pitch is a different,
but it's, I think it's a pitch there and they want this extended.
I think it's part of the same, supporting document for this, the place form.
Yeah, I don't know what they're like. At the end of the day, I don't think it changes our position compared to what we're saying.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, because it's awkward.
This looks like it's Photoshop.
Well, I know I'm very familiar with this area. Actually, I biked that trail and popped out here by the YMCA just last weekend with my children. And I've driven up there. I know we had this complaint back in January, so I was aware of it. And it is a choke point, like you said, as you're heading away from Sunset. As you come up the hill on the left side, it definitely narrows and cuts off some visibility. I wasn't too aware of it heading back the other direction. But looking at these pictures provided in this complaint, you can definitely see how your visual line of sight, you can see the crosswalk at the trail side, you can't see it on the northwest side. So I would definitely be in support of having no parking between that crosswalk and Hostler. I think that's an easy fix. I think that's more cost effective than talking about blinking crosswalk lights or anything. And it doesn't displace that much parking, especially because there's no residences immediately on that stretch. So there's, someone's already walking a distance to get to this car. There's other options for them to find a spot and walk the same distance.
I'm gonna take a motion then. Okay. I'd make a motion to, remove the parking from Hosler to the path there on the north side of Woodhaven with, as a recommendation with paint on the curb and no parking signs. So it's clear.
Second.
Discussion?
Is it, or do we recommend that, or would we recommend the city engineer? Recommend that to the city engineer?
I support that. I just, you know, that's a good recommendation.
As much power as we have.
We all have power, right?
It's just a recommendation.
But the football games is what I'm thinking, it's just making it really obvious.
Any other discussion, question? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Um,
How soon can that work be done, you think?
I'll get this into, I can get this through the city manager this week and then we can get a request. And I don't know about if they're ordering the parking signs or if they have them. I don't want to say within 30 days, but 30 to 60 days, right? Pretty quick, these are, nothing complex here.
all right, so that also included 2024-01.1, so we'll go to 2024, requesting painted curb of at least 8 feet in each direction on Southwest Pitch Court. And no turnaround sign added to the beginning.
So on this one, the complaint on this is, or the request on this is, kind of twofold. They're asking for two things: no parking, on Pinehurst, to increase the visibility for those that are coming out of Pitch Court, and having to turn on the Pinehurst. So they're just wanting buffer along Pinehurst there of spaces to increase their visibility due to the fact that there's cars that are parked on Pinehurst. The second request is for obviously the signage that would say for no outlet. They're indicating that they get people that are turning off of Pinehurst into Fitch, thinking it's a through road and not realizing and coming into their cul-de-sac and doing the turnaround on the next set. In this one, I know I've sat at this location for periods of time observing it. And well, actually, before we get to that, we had the complainant send in a video that shows a view of their vehicle on Fitch. And they're at the stop sign and they're trying to pull out onto Pinehurst. And they kind of video it to show you the obstruction of view. I'm trying to see if it's clear to get out on Pinehurst. So we'll play that for you and then we'll have some additional discussion. Thinking. While the computer's thinking about working, obviously we get a lot of vehicles that are parked on Pinehurst there. You have the Tonka truck park, just right there. You end up with vehicles parked all the way along Pinehurst. As we all, I think, are aware, this is heavy residential right here with all the neighborhoods and streets here. So you have, I think, people that are enjoying the use of the park, enjoying also the use of the pathway over there. And then also parking that's occurring just due to the residential that's there as well. So, if you're not aware, Pinehurst is heavily parked upon, along them. Okay, looks like it may, you're saying there's a chance. There we go. So there's the stop sign, they're in the cul-de-sac. The road that you're seeing through that camera view is Pinehurst. Here it goes. Has kind of advised us that you have to pull pretty far out into Pinehurst before being able to see that there's it's clear or not clear to be able to make that turn. I was gonna say hold that for a second, but no worries if it's gone. On this complaint, the police department, like I said, we've analyzed this location, we've sat at the intersection for extended periods of time, watching it. Looking at this, we see it in two different lights. There's obviously two prongs to this one. One is that the aspect of the visibility issue. This video does show an impact of being able to see, but it is a little bit slanted in this regard due to the fact that there's a lawn maintenance truck and trailer when this video was taken. In this video, it definitely looks like it's difficult to see. When regular vehicles are parked there, when we've analyzed it, when it's just regular vehicles that are parked, there is what appears to be substantial room to be able to see around or through those vehicles to see that there's cars that are oncoming. To that point, if we were to put no parking on Pinehurst to increase the view, we would be needing to do that at pretty much every intersection throughout the entire Woodhaven area. This is a little different than the one that we just did on Woodhaven at Hostler. Like I said, when we sit on Fitch at that stop sign, it is obstructed somewhat. But there are views to be able to see through to be able to make the turn. We don't feel as a police department perspective that it poses a hazard to the degree that it would warrant limiting the parking and those impacts that come with that. And I can let Jason speak to that in regards to the limiting of parking. And
yeah, what I'm hoping here is we can, you're not supposed to park within 20 feet of a crosswalk. You're supposed to park within 20 feet of a stop sign. And that's really the 25-mile-per-hour sight distance triangle and supposed to kind of clear out so you can get in and out of Fitch. So maybe that's, I didn't go measure where these cars are parking, but if they're beyond 20 feet, that should be sufficient. If they're parking within 20 feet, maybe that's something we can enforce a little or come out and talk to somebody about that. But I'm apprehensive to do anything here because we have a full citywide, neighborhood-wide issue that should be addressed together, maybe with some parking standards and then an implementation plan and some community outreach, because taking away these parking spaces gets pretty heated sometimes. So our plan is, do you want me to kind of go to the recommendation of?
yeah, the other piece was the other prong of this was the no inlet signage. You can probably address that.
And I put in a request to put in some supplemental no outlet plaques that will go above the street name sign instead of the big no outlet sign in front of somebody's yard, which they probably wouldn't appreciate. Plus it'd be hard to see. So we're just going to add back to back no outlet with an arrow in and put it up on the top of that. And I don't think we need to even do a motion for that. Let's go ahead and do it. So that's really all I could see doing here. Other than some, education, and then someday we need to address the Woodhaven parking issues because, Jason had some good points too. When they park on both sides, it slows everybody down. So that's kind of why I just creep through. Woodhaven at 15 miles per hour and I'm fine, but not everybody does that, so. Everybody has different opinions. So we're really sensitive to removing the parking signs, putting in no parking.
So Jason, I think for us, from the city's perspective, we're saying of the two prongs to this case. We're saying as a city, yes, we support the signage that they're requesting. No, we do not support the limiting of the parking to increase.
In that, when you were going over this, when I realized what that little piece of paint was then on the other location, I think somebody was trying to emphasize the 20 feet from the crosswalk. That was probably 20 feet from either the stop sign or the crosswalk. So, and that's not really an effective way to do that. I don't think that little piece of paint's going to help with that. Kind of explain what that was doing here. Thanks.
Would we support no turnaround or no outlet? So it's more obvious, because I feel like no turnaround would indicate like it's sort of like a private drive and don't go there and it's still a public street.
Yeah, I'll leave that to Jason.
But I feel like we'd recommend a maybe no outlet sign or something like
Oh, yeah,
that.
and that's what we submitted, was no outlet at the top, and
Gotcha.
the purpose of that was, and that's not the first, we usually like the big no outlet on the big triangle or rectangular sign. But, this makes it visible, so if you're like a delivery truck, you see that up at the top, you'll catch it, you won't pull in there versus the no outlet on the sign. You're probably gonna pull in and then back out or something like that, so this will be the most visible. I think it's the, easiest solution we can go do it. We don't need a recommendation for something like that. And I put the order in, so it sounds like the signs will get ordered up tomorrow and should be installed pretty soon.
You're putting it on each.
On top of the stop sign that's there, like a supplemental plaque stacked on top of the, now they do private drive plaques.
I think if someone is turning onto that street, they won't see the sign until they've already made the turn. And then at that point, they.
No, this is on the stop sign, and this is the most visible spot you
You're
can.
talking the stop sign when you're leaving Fitch, that.
Yeah, you'll be able to see the yellow stuff from way up on Pinehurst when you're coming down. It just goes right on top
It's
of
gonna
it.
be oriented so you read it from Pinehurst, not.
So
Okay.
the Southwest Fitch Drive sign, there's gonna be a yellow
Oh, above the
strip
street
right
sign.
above it. Yeah,
Got it.
so it'd be the most visible location possible.
So ultimately, though, this case does have two prongs to it. We would like you guys to do a motion to both those prongs, because obviously it's a case, so.
I was just gonna, one other thing that I noticed is that on Fitch, on the one side, there's a driveway there, so there's not parking already available, and then on the south leg of Pinehurst, there's already no parking sign and a fire hydrant, so
Correct.
it feels like they're like, and then on the other side, on both sides of Fitch, there's at least one side, there's a driveway right there, so there's already no parking essentially at the intersection.
Yeah, I think. Can your cursor just up and to the right, just a hair, like you're right there. So I think that'd be built the only spot where you could probably put a sign from there to their driveway, but once again, it's sitting there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't imagine we would have no parking signs throughout the entire city at every intersection if that were the case. Just is not feasible.
We did that in the old town overlay with the streetscapes when they had no curbs. And it's kind of very difficult. Now we have a bunch of signs to manage, people hit them. And obviously, park in front of driveways or fire hydrants, so it's kind of redundant. And it's like the no parking or standing signs that on the road where there's no shoulders is a little excessive.
And I guess the only additional thing I would put out there too is if for your motions on these two prongs of this. When we're dealing with the parking stuff, and you've probably addressed this. We're police, he's engineer, we're not public works. So painting is something that causes sometimes public works departments fits due to the fact that it costs extra money and time and resources to continually have to repaint that. So in your motions, if you can just be conscious of that fact.
But the other location is high importance and it'll get hammered during football games, but. And I mentioned that, so we're good on that one, but yeah, painting curves is a little, costly if we start doing that everywhere. I'm sure city council can weigh in and make the decision, but yeah. Painted curves are expensive and only maybe downtown areas, but we want to do that.
I can make a motion to, based on the, information from, from the engineer and police, move that we take no action on the first issue of parking removal. And on the second issue, move that we add no outlet signage to that, to Southwest Beach Court.
And second thought.
So the change, two tasks and one motion. Okay, we need a second. Personal second. Awesome, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That was it for new, so then we'll go on to pending. Traffic safety requests. It's long since we met, I forget how I was doing this. Am I reading these each one that you're talking about, or are you just gonna go?
There you go.
Okay, 2022-005, request to lower speed limit, have more lighting sidewalks, bike lanes on ED.
So this one done, right?
I mean, we've been talking about this one forever and all we can realistically do is put the speed change request into ODOT, which Algalati had started. And finally, it's gotten pushed through and the signs are 35 miles per hour, so.
I think last we discussed that we were waiting for one more sign.
Yeah.
Right, as
Oh, yeah, we added that.
here. That one's up.
That's up.
Yeah, perfect.
You got any feedback from anybody?
Thanks. I think the lady was like, it went up the next day or something. She was pretty happy.
You did get a thanks, that's.
Yeah. Lucky things. We did, I happened to catch them when they were putting up a no parking sign or adjusting them at someone's house right next door and they did the same thing. So the person called me and said, thanks for, that's just lucky, getting lucky.
Nice. All right, 22.
Okay. Move to close request 2022-005.
Thanks.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 2022-10, parking on St. Charles Way to pathway, requesting no parking signs.
That, I was hoping it'd be done by now, but we are. Public Works Director, City Manager has asked us to follow the code on as far as notifications that we would require for residents when they change signs. So we've mailed out notices to everybody to get feedback on this item, and it actually helped because somebody that uses the crosswalk and pushes his mother-in-law or mother in a wheelchair across this crosswalk called and I talked to him and we made some adjustments to the barricade that we're going to use. So the notification process helps. So this one should be done the next meeting, then we can close it out. And if you want, I can share a picture of what the final product is there. So, and then we'll revisit it and the trail systems expand behind the opposite side of St. Charles Way. So, I guess that's no update or.
That's the update.
That's what it did.
Yeah, push tonight.
Push.
Okay, 23-001 and 23-001.1 concerning Sherrick High School parking lot, traffic and Haid.
So it's been a bit since we've had a meeting, so I just want to update. I think that the last time we had chatted about this, we were still waiting to try to see if there was some things that the school was going to do in regards to some signage and things. At that time, Tony, you had asked some questions in regards to some statistical data. So here's what I've got for y'all. In regards to announcements, and we also talked about, sorry, as a refresher, we had said, hey, we would like to be able to have the school put notification out in their weekly and then have us do some media blitzing at that same time. So we did that. So we had newsletters, notifications go out. That was back in January 12th of this year. And then on February 9th of this year. And then we did do social media blitz on our pages, our social media for the police department on February 9th as well. So we hopefully met kind of your requirements or requests for us to do that. And got that done. There was some additional info where I think you had asked out of curiosity, just kind of what some statistical data was, specifically like school population versus parking passes versus how many students utilizing the buses. So student population, approximately 1,700 at the high school. In regards to parking passes, 550. And buses, those students utilizing the buses in the AM, in the morning on the way to school using buses is 293 students. And in the PM is approximately 255. So that was just the data stuff that you were looking for. Beyond those data points, we from the city, from the police department, we're at the point where we've pushed this as far as we can go. We have succeeded on this case in regards to the prongs of it that were for putting no stopping standing signage along Hayde in front of the high school. That was done a long time ago now. We also did the same signage over on Orchard Hill road across the street from the school, as well as we got signage up saying no stopping standing. No parking on Fisk right there on those. So we succeeded in those regards. In regards to the aspects of giving the school different options, I think we've covered that many times of the options that they were given. At this point, we've done as much as we can as a city to be able to move the needle on this one. The aspects of changing the striping patterns in regards to on Elward to improve turn lanes and through lanes. That's something that, as Jason and I have talked about, is outside of our swim lane. And that is something that Jason has worked hard with the county to try to move that up their priority lists and put that on their list of importance, but it's something that is not going to be immediate. So at this point, we've moved the needle as far as we can. So with that said, from our perspective, we're asking for a closure of this case at this point. It will obviously still go on the acronyms
It'll stay in the GIS system, and when we do our TSP update, we'll turn on all the stuff that's been, resolved, just to take a look at it again. And there's probably 6 things loaded into this one that we all want to fix. And I know Captain Dan, you live up near in that area, don't you? No, you don't? No. We all know people that live out near Hanley that like to turn left at certain times of day.
So anyways, that's where we're at.
Thanks very much for everything you guys are doing. I know it's been really helpful for Sherwood families that have kids in high school. And so, yeah, thanks very much for everything. It's a lot of work.
Appreciate it.
Any discussion or
Also, roughly, we've accounted for 800 pupils now, out of the 1,700, 550 passes and kids going by bus, so 800. So that mean 1,000 are getting there somehow by car, or I doubt if they're walking right now.
Well, the data is flawed in that,
Yeah.
to answer that question, I can't account for how many kids are in one vehicle that have parking passes. I can't account for the number of kids that are walking to and from school. There's a lot.
Parent drop offs.
Yes.
Yeah, parent drop.
Well, that's part of the problem, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
kids have to get to school. parents drop them off. They're not causing, but they're
Advocate.
part of the, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, it seems like there's not much we can do anymore. I wish that area would get restriped because there's a lot of real estate of road there that's just squeezed into one lane with big wide medians, and it's like hopefully the county steps up and does something.
Yeah.
Here's sent it to them.
I'd like to also give a shout out. There's actually a student at the high school who's a AP student who's doing a project for the high school. I don't know how they pick their projects or what it is, but this young lad has decided that he's taking on the project of where the flashing school zone signs are at and their ineffectiveness of that. So kudos to this student who's doing this. And I'm sure we'll all go towards, the student's been directed to myself, to Jason, to the county. So it's great. It's great to see, not just parents and the complainants and stuff, like you have students that also recognize that it's not set right, so.
Okay, so we need a motion to close it out.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to close 2023-001 and 2023-001.1. Yeah.
And we'll leave it on the GIS map.
I'll second that.
Okay, any last discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 2023-005, requesting improvements to Villa Road. Paving, speed limit, signs, painted lines.
This one stays on there just merely due to the fact that we don't have the GIS map up yet, and once that GIS map comes into effect, then it will go on that and come up your.
Well, I did talk to the public works director about this, too, but whether there are any paving projects planned in this area, and there obviously we gotta repave all trails and stuff, but not anything in the immediate 2-year window, but that could move up. So when we do that, I'd recommend, and I'll make the recommendation, we don't have to do that, to just kind of take care of the issue of the residents with the driveways and the speed on these regional trails. That's a separate issue with bikes and stuff, so we're aware of it. I wanted to follow up and let you know that we don't have any paving projects planned in that area. I know I had mentioned we might have one coming in next summer, but we don't. So all of the issues that are raised by this case file for Villa Road are pretty valid. I think I want to get these taken care of at some point in time with, the residents feeling pushed out by the people using the regional trail and vice versa. Everybody needs to coexist in there. So signs are a good way to help take care of that.
All right. Move on to 2023-006. Request for speed bumps at three-way stop at Division and Park.
Where we left this, we were gonna put the third stop sign in. I hope to have that done by this meeting, but we put out the notices. This one's a little bit more thorough, 500 feet written notice. We posted a sign kind of similar to what we require for developers and private residents to do, that said, hey, a stop sign's coming, so you should see that going up next week. I might have an email from Rich Sattler saying it's going up tomorrow, who knows? And they'll have advanced traffic control device change ahead warning signs, and then each stop sign will have an orange flags on the top of it that stay there for 60 days until everybody's used to the pattern change, and then we can take it off at the next meeting. I want to promise something, but I feel confident that we'll get this one off at the June meeting.
All right, 2023-007, requesting no parking on one side of Smith Avenue between Planky and Vintner.
I didn't find anything looking through the records on why we almost put no parking signs on one side and then we didn't. But again, this kind of dovetails back into all the Woodhaven issues, and about parking in general, and there are no fire access issues. We've checked on that, so it's not like we can mandate they be put in, so we're not gonna be putting in no parking signs. There's no warrants for that, but I do agree with the concern they have when you drive down this stretch of road and people are parked on both sides. It's a little tight and it's a little hard to get in and out of that area. So we're gonna keep this on, just like the other stuff for the TSP update, and we'll keep seeing how many people complain about parking. Throughout town, I want to say complain, submit comments about parking issues throughout the city.
Chair, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was like, is there a way, it sounds like now we've got a few that are gonna stay open or pending, but it's really just pending the GIS mapping. We just put them under a separate category, so we'd have new. And then pending, and then it'd be no discussion required, because it would be just the GIS, once those GIS updates are made, no, we don't have to talk about it.
I would call it like a of interest, but not discussed list. It's called GIS list if you want to. Either way, it's fine.
List.
Just don't bother us list. Get it off the main list.
Just, yeah.
Chair, can you check your email real quick?
I don't have my phone.
Okay, I think we can loop back to the division of Park Rowan. Rich Sattler sent an email just before the start of our meeting.
What did it say?
So circling back. Sounds like it's saying the stop signs at the intersection of Division of Park Road have been recently installed.
All right. So they got the advanced traffic pattern change sign that typically.
So should we want to loop back? I think.
Nice, I can't wait to stop there.
Close that one out.
Get crew out there. Give us the verbal.
006.
Yeah, it's really-
006, yes.
Yeah, last week I drove by and I saw the sign saying
Until the meeting.
stop sign coming soon.
Oh, okay.
So I know it seemed like it was imminent.
Okay, so we can close that, so let's make a motion. That's 23.
I move that we close 2023-006 as it's been completed. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any more emails? Okay, almost last thing on the agenda there, update on the GIS map.
I don't have a substantial update and I'm not gonna pull all nighter to do this myself. We have a GIS staff that can help out and they've gotten the case files uploaded. So I'm thinking at the next June meeting, we can kind of get something up on the screen here and we can see what's in there, what it looks like, and then help us feel more comfortable with, we're just really collecting and sifting through comments and data and doing what we can and then giving it to the city to work with our TSP and get the big projects done. So we'll do a demonstration at the June meeting and then we can take this off the list and create a new list,
Okay.
a sub list.
Is the pedestrian bridge on schedule?
Yeah.
In regards to like traffic closures during the high school summer break and so on?
Yeah, we've got, there's gonna be 2 full closures, but they'll be at like night and weekends.
Oh, okay.
So we're working with the school district to make sure they don't, happen during football season and they happen during summer. So I don't think we're gonna do any full closures until, if we do anything, it'll be fall. We'll just be single lane closures on Elwood for the summer.
But it will impact rush hour, commuters or anything like that.
ODOT wouldn't allow that.
Fingers crossed.
So far so good. We've worked through, utility conflicts and things like that. So we're keeping it moving forward and maybe we could give updates on that, every other meeting. So feel free to ask at future meetings and that'll be going on for another 14 months, 15 months. So plenty of time.
All right, we'll move on to committee. Comments. Does anybody have any non-agenda things?
I just want to say real quick, I used my experience here to submit a comment, complaint, whatever, to the city of Beaverton for a traffic concern that I encountered on my commute to work. And they were quick to respond and say, oh, thanks so much for bringing this to our attention. Go talk to ODOT, that's their jurisdiction. And then ODOT was like, yep, we know. So, but it was kind of cool, understanding how this works and knowing what the process is and jumping through it. So it's, I don't know, something I feel every citizen should take a moment and kind of understand how their community works, because it's helpful.
I was curious how you guys think that this can, how do I do this? Do you feel like people know about us and not us, but this group and their ability to raise concerns? I feel like, what is it, what are we on? 2, it's May. I don't wanna like ask for more complaints and more issues, but I know people have more thoughts out there. I just wonder if you guys think that people, I don't know, is there something we can do to make what we do more effective?
Can we get whoever does the police department Facebook posts, do a post for us? Getting the word out?
I think we could if we were ready on the budget end of, I guess our apprehension on staff's end is that we're worried that we're gonna get flooded with a bunch of complaints or comments, and it's like, what do we do to get response? But hey, ask me in a couple, 3 months, I may have a traffic engineer on call that could be sitting here to, with ultimate unlimited capacity to answer questions and stuff, and then it'd be a city council decision.
I think even if you can,
Put money into social media and getting mailers out for the traffic safety committee. Don't you guys want to do that?
I think even if we get too many requests that there's not enough capacity to take care of them, I don't think that's a problem.
That's great. I want to know.
Great idea, but
I'm with you.
and then it can help inform your TSP update.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I just was thinking about it. I think when you asked me if I wanted to continue on the committee and be, still do the chair thing, like I'm all for it, but I wonder if there's a way to make it more impact, I guess.
Well, as I mentioned, it seems like this might become a direct committee, direct to council. And if that happens, I assume that the city of Sherwood will post on their social media that this new committee is gonna need a couple more people and applications are open, and that might get some word out there.
Yeah, I think I've always struggled with getting people to volunteer on it. I don't know if that's changing, but more just, I know people have issues and maybe don't know where to go with it. I'm not really much a user of social media, so.
We did
I
have,
was going to say, I think we're putting a lot of faith in, having people jump in on social media and, not everyone is like that.
I think we do get a few comments that go to our IT department that might be almost traffic stuff. So there's probably 2 or 3 that came in that, hey, we want the right turn lane on like Elworth to Newburgh to be dedicated. And who knows if that went to somebody and I never got it. So I think we could potentially grab a few of those emails that I don't know about that we do get and
Somebody can comment to that, she gets those.
We did get a couple that were traffic safety reviewed, so we didn't put them on the agenda.
we had a citizen comment, person show up to a police advisory board meeting with a traffic concern that they brought up. So they found that there's a police committee, but they didn't find that there was a traffic committee. So it's not, I'm not sure if it's well known.
I wonder, in the notifications that you send out, especially ones that come from this committee, could you even just put, just a couple of lines and a link to the form because just to continue to spread the word about the committee, and so they're like, they know things actually happen if they want to submit something or a concern, and then And then and then maybe even partnering if planning has any outreach or notifications, just even putting kind of like a link into other documentation or other things that are being shared out with residents. And then I feel like we get a lot of requests from similar areas, so I don't know if we want to do any kind of targeted outreach from areas that maybe we haven't heard from as much either.
Have you guys, been showcased as far as like, the Sherwood Archer? You know how that's the city's newsletter that goes out every 2 months? You know, and sometimes it showcases committees, but I don't know if you guys put any articles in that in regards to you guys are solving these things.
Yeah, we haven't used that paper, no.
Okay,
We have not.
so maybe that's another avenue as far as bringing awareness. And sometimes as far as when I think about planning, any projects that we do like a social media links. Even posting things like in Nextdoor, outside of Facebook, Twitter, or X, you know, just things like that, so that they know that, hey, an open house is coming. That, you know, so we use that, and then we also have an interested parties list for certain projects. So we do a mass email to them, like Sherwood West. We have over 300 individuals on this list, so anything that's related to Sherwood West, we just do a blast email on what's happening so that everyone's informed and that they can show up to testify and provide comments. But I mean, those are just some marketing aspects of how we can popularize.
Make it easy to provide comments too, like as simple as like a pothole reporting
Right.
portal and maybe that's what comes through the city's new website is that it makes
So-
it easier.
Right, so
Yeah.
there's a sign up, subscription form online on the Sherwood webpage. Where like if they want updates where I was doing things that were related to middle housing. So individuals would just sign up, so maybe creating some type of list, but then someone would have to maintain that.
Yeah, that one.
The mailbox, that's all. We would just have to maintain the mailbox or have a identified person that it would go to saying that they want to sign up and then create that interested parties list.
So I'm also thinking this traffic safety request form, I assume this is easy enough to find online. What if, starting, say this year at the Sherwood Robin Hood Festival, we have we make a QR code link to that set up with the Sherwood Police that always has a booth set up at the Robin Hood Festival, just a piece of paper. Here, the Traffic Safety Committee, here's a QR code link to this form. And then we could use that and leave it up, say maybe on the window of the library right there. So it's always visible. I don't know if that's possible or in the library, just here's the link to the traffic safety request if you have an issue.
Can we put up QR codes? I had a question about that too, like if can they face cars? I'm just thinking projects, it'd be nice to put QR codes, but I'm apprehensive to do it because now I think I'm creating an attractive nuisance for someone driving by and then they could crash it because it's not an MUTCD compliant symbol. So I don't know. Does anybody know?
This is include QR, they include those codes so that anyone that has a phone can take a photo and it links them to the project page. Because we create project pages for all of our land use cases. An example, I'm sure you guys all know that Walmart's gonna be done. No, sorry, Costco. So Costco's coming, so we are ultimately, when notice goes out, when the land use application is submitted, we are gonna have one of those QR codes on the notice. But again, it links back to the webpage. Do we have a designated webpage as far as the traffic safety committee?
So we do have it on our.
That's what I saw the picture. I didn't even look at the
On the police page, it is there.
Okay,
So to go back, we're throwing a lot of things out here. So just to reel it in a little bit. So a couple things. Yes, we do have it already on our website, on our webpage, to be able to access that. Second off, when we do get calls and complaints that come into our IT department, come into city manager's office and that stuff, that gets routed through to the police department, through Sabrina. That case then gets funneled to me, and then we then assess that to determine if it's gonna be a case that hits the agenda. You have to keep in mind also that the police department's business is this, right? This is our sole business through an entire thing called, like what we call the dispatch center, and that's where we get most of our stuff. So when we get most of our calls through the dispatch center in regards to speed, i.e. the great folks that came in today that produced their stuff. That stuff, well, there's one nuance that may hit our agenda, but the aspect of speed on a street isn't going to be something that would hit this committee. Otherwise, our meetings are gonna be very long. And we'll have a lot of cases. So there's a balance here between, I agree with what Jason's saying, can we market it better? Yes, I think the idea of like Robin Hood Festival, QR code there, great. We can look at doing something like that exactly. On a building that stuff, it's outside my swim lane, I don't know, but I would start with Robin Hood Festival. As a good first jumping off point, but we do have this on the webpage. I do like, Lisa, your idea. When we have a case and it closes out, Sabrina sends a letter to them advising of the closure of the case and the disposition of it. And at that time, I think if I heard what you were saying, right, maybe I got it wrong, but if I heard what you were saying, attach that form to that disposition letter as well, just in case there's other people they know, et cetera.
Yeah,
So
and
it's-
or,
Let's make it.
like
Fill it out.
the notifications for like the stop sign that like this is coming soon. And those letters too.
Yeah, so whenever something's kind of going out, based on this committee, be like, hey, just apply, we do have this, if you have a different issue, different issues, yeah. So we can do those things for sure.
And I agree that the idea of like, doing a QR code or something at functions where the police have a presence with a booth with informational things and giveaways, that makes perfect sense. We're getting the word out there. People, now are turned, onto the fact that, oh, there is a mechanism for me to do it. That's great. A thing in the Archer, like you said, just to profile it again, it just kind of puts it out there once. A targeted or even non-targeted, just an outbound campaign to email and to put out door hangers and stuff. I think that that's overkill. We're gonna have 3-hour-long meetings. We're gonna blow up our budget with everyone wanting stop signs and paint and so on. Just the idea of once a year going, hey, we're here is enough to make sure that we're not hiding from our responsibilities. We're putting it out there in the public, and then enough people become aware of it that those who need it can figure out how to seek it out. So I think that that's a good course of action without getting too aggressive and pushing our faces out there.
Yeah, and Richard kind of nails it. We'd have to start, if we start going too far down that path, we'd have to start designating a position to it.
There's a lot of cities do where the committee then gets.
But our city does not have the funding ability. So, and lastly, Tiffany, your idea was a great idea. We'll talk to our PIO for the police department as well. And we'll throw out a little blurber on that in regards to saying, hey, that's something that's there.
What about staff sponsored like case files? Like there's a couple where it's like, it's anonymous or we feel like we may want to discuss it here. Would we be opposed to like where it's like Bob Galati's or Jason Waters sponsored case file where we can log things that way?
Like if I have an idea, I can just come here and.
It's got an email at work. It said, hey, Jason, I have a good idea for this traffic control change device, but I don't want to submit my name, enter, and they send it to me. Those are the ones that get through the cracks or they don't get logged, but they might be good. And so would we be opposed to bringing that, putting it on the form and making it becoming something we want to resolve, even though it doesn't have a sponsor or a champion, someone to bring it through. So, I mean, I'd be happy to do it since I live here, but
I think if staff wants the committee's opinion on something, I would say, yeah. If you want to just do it, Cause you know. it's-
Just to get it there, I mean,
Anyways, go for it.
and what if we leave, then at least there's that issue to discuss later, you know?
Yeah, we have something more for you, yeah.
I'm not, and I'm bringing all this up just to create more work or whatever. I just try to find that balance between nothing new and, you know, a meeting that goes till 9, like I don't want that either. I just, you know, it'd be nice to have a couple new things every so often. I know that people have thoughts to share, so.
You're right, though. Everybody should be able to see a problem and then hit the QR code, submit the form it generates, and then in a perfect world with unlimited budget, it gets fixed within X amount of days, and there is no meeting, there is no follow-up. It's everybody's problem. I mean, sometimes we do that too.
I
So,
do have to say, it's really easy to find our form on the city website, compared to the Beaverton one. I had to hunt around and I drilled down. It ended up being in Public Works, but you know, I even filled out a wrong form at first, for something else having to do with, like, you know, street signs and potholes and stuff. And it's like, wait, that's not traffic. So anyway, it is easy to find, but again, I'm sure a lot of people just don't know that this committee is out there.
So Jason, I have an item.
Yeah.
Are we ready to move?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to give all of you guys a Safe Routes to School update. We actually did submit for Oregon Safe Routes to School construction grant for Sunset and Timbrel Lane, enhanced crossing as recommended by you guys, so it would be a rapid flashing. So the great part is that we submitted an application and we have been invited to apply for the second half, which is wonderful. In the interim, we're working on this, the second part of the application. And I do have an account to share with this committee, and I'm hoping that you have provided the support letter of the committee, that's very well. And we can draft the support letter and then give it to the commission, to sign to you guys. Our application, the second half of our application is not really good, but we would take on. But I'm currently gathering all of these support letters, and, the police chief is also, Ty's gonna, I haven't drafted. But this is a heads up. We already have a support letter from the principal and also the PAC for Middleton. So, which is great. I'm actually gonna be attending Middleton, Spring Carnival, which is in the next Friday, the 30th. So I'll be there with my first board of what the improvements are gonna look like, and then list of the items that are, going to be made as far as the successful work program is approved. So it's about 380K is the full intersection. We're very fortunate that this year, or this time around, our local match is only 10.7%. They created a criteria for cities under 25,000. Because usually the criteria has to do with, do you have a equitable, like 40% equity wins? And we never score well in regards to that. So we're really fortunate that it went down so that we can do it based on our population. And the other best part is we're hoping that we can get funding from Washington County Missed Opportunity Funds for that local match. So we're hoping that we don't have to dish out any funds so that we can utilize the funds for in kind as far as staff time and programming for South to School.
Yeah, that's great.
So, yeah, so we shall see. Our application again is due July, the end of July, but we'll get something drafted and we'll send it to you, Jason. I don't know if you guys need to vote to say that you guys are supporting and that you guys will support a support letter. Support letter. I don't know. But that would be great if that can happen. If you guys can generate that for us. And we'll include it as part of the package. So hopefully, I mean, the first hurdle was part 1. So now we've been invited to part 2. So we're hoping that, I think the traffic study, I don't know, we haven't really truly fully discussed the traffic study.
we're shipping that out to the committee
Okay,
through email.
you know, we kind of touched base
We'll have
on
until
it.
next meeting to provide comments, but we incorporated last round of comments, so we're hoping that the study is no comments. It's ready to
Right,
go.
but with that study, I think it helped support how many children or how many pedestrians are actually utilizing the crosswalk. So, which helped us get to this space. So now, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And my kids both did the walk, roll, bike to school thing to Middleton, like a week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
they like it?
Oh, yeah, they love it. Especially my youngest one, he's in first grade. He's like,
Okay.
my wife,
Very good.
yeah,
That is
she
perfect.
called him out and she's like, maybe next year when you're older.
Okay. I mean, that is the whole aspect is, if we provide opportunities for children to learn that there's different options of getting to school, not just getting in a car. Rolling, biking, walking, any of those are all, I mean, we were very blessed that it was a sunny day too. So it was a perfect day.
The only downside is the bike rack was overwhelmed with bikes and scooters.
Well, the oddest part though is that a lot of the parents take their bike and stuff home.
Yeah.
Because I tried to take a photo of the bike rack so we can, you know, showcase that, hey, this is successful. And it was almost empty because everyone took their bikes, because other people, the kids come home differently somehow, I don't know.
Yeah,
It was confusing to me.
My oldest said that the bike rack was too busy, when he got there, and my wife, she took my youngest one's scooter home, so she was one of those guilty ones, but.
There's only one bike rack and it's in the back of the school, right?
Yeah, behind the gymnasium,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I don't know, when I took a photo, it was just like, why is it so?
maybe everyone showed up and was getting busy, and then they put them all.
Okay. So, yeah, so, that's really, I'm looking forward to it and hopefully, I think they're gonna ultimately score them and we'll probably know sometime in September maybe. So as soon as I hear otherwise, but you know, we'll probably get an update from me once we submit. So then we'll just keep our fingers crossed.
Great, thank you. Anybody else have anything else? All right, we'll adjourn. Thank you.
So, yeah. Now we have to, reverse.